Most people remember California in the 1970s for its golden sunsets and open roads, but living here meant waking up to sunlight spilling through glass doors, backyard pools sparkling, and neighborhoods where possibility felt as ordinary as breakfast. Hidden in these ordinary routines was a California dream expanding with each new house and friendly drop-in, setting the stage for an era where comfort and community shaped the future. But was it really as effortless as it seemed? Sliding glass doors opened with a gentle clatter, letting in the morning air and the promise of another sun-soaked day. In California's new suburbs, houses seemed to breathe. Kitchens flowed into living rooms, and living rooms spilled out onto patios where towels dried and kids' voices echoed. The line between indoors and outdoors blurred, thanks to walls of glass and wide, low windows that framed the world in golden light. Earth tones filled these homes in shades of rust, avocado green, sandy beige, and burnt orange, softening every corner. Shag carpets cushioned bare feet, and wood paneling ran along the walls, catching the afternoon sun. The scent of chlorine drifted in from backyard pools, mixing with the sweetness of orange blossoms and the distant sizzle of a neighbor's barbecue. Families drifted from room to room, never far from the outside. Breakfasts were as likely to happen on a patio as at a kitchen table. The sliding door was rarely closed for long. Someone was always stepping out to check the pool or greet a friend waving from across the fence. In places like Mission Viejo and Irvine, new developments promised space to grow. Lawns stretched out and block parties spilled into cul-de-sacs. Evenings stretched on as neighbors gathered under pergolas, sharing stories as the sky faded from blue to soft peach. Inside, avocado-colored appliances hummed in the kitchen, and velvet couches offered a soft landing after a swim. Wallpaper patterns, sometimes bold, sometimes quietly textured, added a sense of comfort that felt both current and timeless. Every detail, from the smooth glide of a glass door to the warmth of the wood beneath your hand, reinforced the feeling that home was open, easy, and connected to the world just beyond the threshold. Fences in these neighborhoods were more like gentle boundaries than barriers. Neighbors leaned on them, coffee in hand, beginning the day with a quiet chat about the weather or the latest pool filter trick. Children wandered freely from yard to yard, their names called out by mothers who trusted the easy rhythm of the block. A running sprinkler was an open invitation, and when a barbecue smoked, the whole street might drift over, each person bringing something small to share. Backyard pools were the heart of the community, chlorine and laughter mixing in the air. On weekends, floats and beach balls crowded the water, and adults stretched out on webbed lawn chairs, sunglasses reflecting the blue. It did not take a formal invitation. People dropped by with a towel slung over one shoulder, sometimes just to cool their feet or to catch up on neighborhood news. Evenings brought a different kind of togetherness. Porch lights flickered on as the sky darkened, casting soft pools of light onto driveways and sidewalks. Grown-ups gathered in small knots, swapping stories under the glow, while children played hide and seek until the last light faded. The sound of a screen door creaking open meant someone else was joining, another voice in the easy chorus of the night. No one worried much about locked doors or rigid plans. If a friend's bike was left on your lawn, you wheeled it home the next morning. Birthdays spilled into block parties, with folding tables lined up along the curb and homemade cakes cut into generous slices. The sense of belonging did not come from grand gestures, but from the gentle certainty that a neighbor would wave as you passed or knock softly just to say hello. In these moments, the suburbs felt less like a collection of houses and more like a single, sprawling home. A turn of the key brought a low rumble to life, and the day stretched out ahead with the promise of the open road. In California, driving wasn't just about getting somewhere. It was a ritual, a sensory escape. The bench seat of a big sedan felt endless. Cool vinyl warming under the sun, elbows out the window, arm resting on the door. Radios flickered to life with a twist of the dial, filling the car with the latest Eagles song, or a disc jockey's easy banter. Sometimes it was an 8-track mix, the tape clicking over mid-chorus, the sound a little warbled but familiar. CB radios crackled with slang, 10-4, good buddy, as drivers checked in with friends or strangers, trading road tips and stories. The dashboard was a clutter of coffee cups, sunglasses, and the glow of the dial. With the Pacific Coast Highway unspooling beside the water, the world narrowed to the hum of tires, the salty breeze, and the steady rhythm of the engine. For some, the drive meant a slow cruise in a custom van, shag carpet underfoot, murals on the outside, and laughter rolling out the windows. For others, it was the long, easy glide of a station wagon, kids sprawled in the back, counting palm trees or watching the sky change through the glass. The car was more than a machine. It was a private world, a moving living room, a place where time seemed to stretch and the boundaries of everyday life blurred with possibility. Each journey felt wide open, the road ahead promising something new just beyond the next bend. The freedom of the open road didn't last forever. By early 1974, the lines at California gas stations stretched for blocks, a slow-motion pause in the state's steady movement. Odd, even rationing took over the routine. If your license plate ended in an odd number, you could fill up on odd days. Even numbers waited for the next day. Some mornings, drivers circled the neighborhood just to check the calendar in the back of their car. Waiting in line became its own kind of ritual. Station wagons and vans idled under the midday sun, windows rolled down to catch any hint of a breeze. Radios played quietly, mixing music with the low murmur of strangers swapping stories. It was not unusual for someone to bring donuts or a thermos of coffee and share with whoever was next in line. Kids leaned out of back windows counting cars or reading handwritten signs taped to the pump. 10 gallons max, even plates only today. No gas after 5 p.m. Attendants in crisp shirts moved from car to car, checking oil and wiping windshields, trading small talk about last night's game or the next day's weather. The pace slowed to a crawl, and for a moment the whole state seemed to hold its breath. Some drivers passed the time with a paperback or a crossword. Others simply watched the sunlight glint off chrome bumpers. Even with the wait, there was a quiet patience, an understanding that everyone was in it together. The road would open up again soon. For now, California's car culture paused. The promise of motion held in place by the simple math of license plates and the hope that the next tank would last a little longer. Music drifted through every corner of daily life, as steady and familiar as the sunlight across the kitchen table. In the mornings, radios perched on countertops played softly, while toast browned and orange juice poured, the dial set to a favorite AM station. The voices of DJ S became part of the household routine, their patter mixing with clinks of dishes and the shuffle of homework papers. Sometimes a song would catch everyone, and the kitchen would pause for a moment, Fleetwood Mac or the Eagles filling the air, a melody that lingered even after the radio clicked off. Teenagers found their own soundtrack in bedrooms decorated with album sleeves tacked to wood-paneled walls. Stacks of vinyl and 8 tracks lined up beside the bed, each one a ticket to somewhere else. Liner notes were read and reread, lyrics memorized, and covers studied for hours. The right record could turn an ordinary afternoon into something brighter, the thump of bass and the swirl of harmonies making the room feel bigger, more alive. Friends gathered around turntables, arguing over which side to play first. The gentle static before the music started as much a part of the ritual as the songs themselves. Sharing music meant sharing secrets and dreams, sometimes sprawled across shag carpet, sometimes sitting cross-legged with the album jacket open between them. In these moments, the outside world faded, replaced by the pulse of California's own soundtrack. Record stores were destinations in themselves, their bins packed with new releases and old favorites. Browsing the racks, flipping through glossy covers, there was always the hope of finding something unexpected. A single song discovered on a listening station or recommended by a clerk could shape the mood of a whole weekend. No matter where you were, in the car, at home, or with friends, music was a gentle companion, threading through the background and turning the ordinary into something memorable. It was as much a part of life as the sun, the breeze, or the sound of laughter drifting in from the backyard. As twilight settled over the city, streetlights flickered to life, and a different kind of energy took hold. On the Sunset Strip, lines formed outside the Roxy and the Whiskey, the buzz of conversation spilling onto the sidewalk. Inside, the air was thick with anticipation. Crowds pressed close to the stage, not just to watch, but to be part of the show. In these small clubs, the audience shaped the night as much as the musicians did, singing along, calling out requests, sharing in every note. The room pulsed with the sense that anyone could be discovered, or at least remembered forever in a story told the next day. Further south, families and friends made their own magic at Disneyland. The park was a world unto itself, a place where laughter echoed beneath the glow of Main Street bulbs and the scent of popcorn drifted on the breeze. On weekends, attendance swelled. Kids darted between rides, clutching ticket books and sticky cones, while parents found shade by the Mark Twain steamboat. The lines felt endless, but nobody seemed to mind. Each visit promised a new adventure, whether it was the thrill of Space Mountain or the simple joy of a shared churro. Evenings did not always end early. Roller discos drew crowds of all ages, the thump of bass and the shimmer of mirrored balls inviting everyone onto the floor. Skaters glided and spun beneath colored lights, some in sequined shirts, others in cut-off jeans. It did not matter if you were graceful or clumsy. The point was to move, to laugh, to be caught up in the moment. Strangers became friends for a night, swapping stories in the snack bar or cheering on a daring spin. These spaces, club, park, rink, felt open and alive, built on the idea that play was not just for kids. In the shared rhythm of music, wheels, and applause, California's sense of possibility found a home. The days might have been sunlit and easy, but the nights belonged to anyone willing to step into the light. In a quiet California suburb, the scent of solder drifted out from a half-open garage door. Inside, a workbench was cluttered with wire clippings, circuit boards, and coffee-stained notebooks. The hum of a small fan mixed with the soft click of tools as a young tinkerer leaned over a homemade computer, coaxing it to life. It was 1976, and what looked like a hobby, just a couple of friends in jeans and sneakers piecing together parts from the local electronics shop, was quietly rewriting the future. Most days, the garage was nothing special. Bikes leaned against the wall, a lawnmower waited in the corner, and the only sign that something unusual was happening was the steady glow of a soldering iron. Here, possibility felt close enough to touch, not in grand gestures, but in the patience of trial and error. The first Apple computer would come together on a plywood table, its bare circuit board a world away from the polished machines of later years. Just down the street, parents headed to work at sprawling aerospace plants or new office parks, their lunch pails packed and their routines steady. Neighborhoods buzzed with the energy of small beginnings. Engineers designing satellites, machinists shaping metal parts, and dreamers, young and old, turning garages into laboratories. The garage was more than a place to park a car. It was a blank canvas, open to anyone with an idea and the will to see it through. In these ordinary spaces, the future felt as real as the hum of a transformer or the whir of a fan, waiting to be discovered one careful step at a time. The sense of possibility was quiet, and it spread slowly in the small, careful acts of making. Saturday mornings brought a new kind of bustle to California's neighborhoods. Families strolled through open-air farmers markets, baskets in hand, searching for fresh strawberries or tomatoes warmed by the sun. The air carried the scent of herbs, and the stands overflowed with produce that felt just picked. Kids sampled orange wedges while parents chatted with growers, swapping recipes for grilled corn or zucchini bread. In Berkeley, a small restaurant called Chez Panisse opened its doors in 1971, serving meals built from local farms, A quiet revolution that made simple, seasonal food feel exciting again. Joggers cut through city parks and along beach paths, their bright shorts and striped socks a sign of changing habits. Running wasn't just for athletes anymore. By the mid-70s, it was common to see entire families out for a morning loop, waving to neighbors or stopping for water at a drinking fountain. Health food stores popped up beside pizza parlors, and even the corner diners started offering wheat toast and fresh squeezed juice alongside pancakes and bacon. But as the day wore on, the sky sometimes faded from blue to a soft, persistent haze. Smog alerts became part of the routine, especially in Los Angeles and Orange County. Some afternoons, the mountains disappeared behind a silvery veil, and children stayed indoors when the air stung their eyes. By 1975, smog warnings numbered in the hundreds each year, a quiet backdrop to the state's sunshine. Meanwhile, the price of a home in these growing suburbs crept upward. In 1970, a house in Orange County might cost $28,500. By 1977, it could be $72,000. The dream was still alive, but the edges were beginning to show. Families adapted, finding new ways to gather, eat, and move through the world, savoring the moment while learning to live with its limits. Possibility once felt endless under the California sun. Today, more than 39 million people call California home, drawn by the same promise of reinvention that shaped the 1970s. As pressures rise and dreams evolve, the memory of open doors and bright mornings reminds us the spirit of possibility is not just history here, it is a choice waiting to be lived. Thanks for joining this journey.